Our next speaker became world famous as a cricketer. He captained the Pakistan cricket team for 10 years, longer than any other Pakistani captain. Since then, he's become a politician, the founder and the leader of Pakistan's Movement for Justice party. Accused of being pro-Taliban for speaking out against the military operation in Pakistan, he's denied that charge. But he has insisted that Pakistan will never contain extremism while American troops remain across the border in Afghanistan. Hatred of America, he said, is much more than of the Taliban. Ladies and gentlemen, Imran Khan.
Thank you. Well, Pakistan was introduced as the most volatile, dangerous place in the world. But no Pakistani was involved in 9/11. There were no militant Taliban in Pakistan. Osama bin Laden, trained by the CIA, was in Afghanistan. So how has this happened? Why is Pakistan today the most dangerous place? In my opinion, it's the military operations that created Taliban. General Musharraf made the biggest blunder in 2004 by sending the Pakistan army to Waziristan. When the army went into Waziristan, and this is very important to understand why the army was sent there were supposedly 200 Al-Qaeda that had come over after the Tora Bora operation that had come into Waziristan. The fundamental mistake made by General Musharraf was exactly the mistake made by the Americans after 9/11. The real enemy was Al-Qaeda. Taliban were religious fundamentalists. They had no capability of hitting Western targets. No Pashtun has ever been involved in international terrorism. Taliban were Pashtuns, not capable of doing anything outside Afghanistan. So by not separating the two, the Americans made the fundamental mistake by pushing the Taliban towards Al-Qaeda, whereas they should have separated the two. Similarly, when Musharraf was pushed by the Americans to get after these 200 Al-Qaeda, he should have isolated these 200 Al-Qaeda rather than pushing potentially 1 million armed men in the tribal areas towards Al-Qaeda, which is what he did. So today, after the Waziristan operation started, at the same time there were these drone attacks in Pakistan. You hear about these drone attacks, that there's some sort of precision bombing going on. Just this year, the government published figures of 2009, 44 drone attacks killed 708 people. 8 were terrorists, 700 were civilians. The drone attacks, along with military operations, are what created the Pakistan Taliban after 2 years. So 2004, the operation started. 2006 is the first time we started hearing about the Pakistan Taliban. Each operation produced more militants. Last year, we had 500 blasts in Pakistan. The army operations produced refugees within Pakistan out of the tribal areas. At one point, there were 2.3 million people internally displaced. Out of the tribal areas, not Swat, which is a settled area, out of the tribal areas, there are at least 800,000 people displaced. The entire economy of the tribal area has been destroyed. In frontier, the economy has gone down by 80%. There's masses of unemployed youth roaming around. There's discontent in the area. All these operations are feeding the militants. What you call Taliban, the ideological element in the Taliban is very limited. There are very few people who actually, in this whole Taliban movement, who actually have the same sort of ideological beliefs of imposing some sort of a Sharia. The majority are the tribal Pashtuns, who, out of the reaction to this so-called collateral damage, and let me tell you, the insanity, the immorality of these military operations. The artillery guns firing from 30 to 20 kilometers away, firing into villages, F-16s, helicopter gunships. No concern about the number of women and children getting killed. Pakistan government hides these casualties because they're scared of public backlash. And all it is doing is is radicalizing our society. The youth, educated youth in Pakistan is getting radicalized. And the longer this insanity continues, the worse the situation is going to get. Exactly the same trend we saw in Afghanistan. 10% of Afghanistan was under Taliban in 2002. Today, 70% of Afghanistan is the Taliban-controlled rural areas. And exactly aerial bombardment produced militancy. So, in my opinion, there has to be a change of strategy. If Einstein defined madness as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, this is madness. All they're doing is that they're producing militants in Pakistan. And what no one is talking about, Sir Richard spoke about the Pakistan army, but how long is the army going to keep bombing its own people? And how long is this going to go on? And why will there not be a reaction within the army? 3 times there have been, once there was a coup against an assassination attempt against Musharraf. Once there was an attack within the GHQ, and then there was another attack near the GHQ in which a lot of Pakistani generals died. All 3 were inside jobs, from the low ranks. And the longer these operations continue, I'm afraid there's going to be no end to this militancy. From the Western point of view, people here must understand that your danger is not, the streets of Britain are not going to be safe because there this action going on against the Taliban in Pakistan and Afghanistan. The danger is the radicalization of Muslim youth in the Western countries. The more you have the slaughtering that is going on, you don't know the true figures that are, the Afghan government hides the true figure of collateral damage, and so does the Pakistan government. We have 2 puppets, one is Karzai and one is Zardari sitting in Pakistan. And our government, the more the Americans say do more, all Zardari asks is give me more dollars. And in my opinion, it's a matter of time. In the next 6 months, I think you will see that there's going to be a massive change in Pakistan. The positive thing that is happening in Pakistan is for the first time, we have an independent Supreme Court. Not because of the largesse of any government or the establishment, but because of the people of Pakistan rallying behind the Chief Justice. Twice he was kicked out, and twice the people powers got him reinstated. So we have an independent judiciary. We have probably one of the most vibrant medias anywhere in the world. We have anchors on television that are opinion makers now. We have every issue discussed in Pakistan. And the hope comes from the independent media, the independent justice system, and a very politically aware public. The youth, for the first time, has been politicized in Pakistan. So the hope lies in the coming months. I expect midterm elections, because there's a clash going to take place between the Supreme Court and Zardari-led government. The Supreme Court has opened up corruption cases against Asif Zardari, known as Mr. 10%. And because of that, the government trying to block the corruption cases, we expect that there will only be one winner, and that's the Supreme Court, because the people are standing behind the Supreme Court. So the hope in Pakistan lies in having a genuinely democratic government, a credible government which is sovereign, which then can talk to the Taliban and separate the real ideologues, the real terrorists, from our own tribal people. And in separating the two, we hope that there will eventually be peace, and helping the Americans in getting some sort of a government of consensus in Afghanistan, which is the best solution right now. Thank you.